はい、映ってるかな? Hello, everyone. Good morning for people in Japan. Good afternoon, good evening for people in America. はい、おはようございます。では始めましょうか。Thank you for your attendance for today's talk session. This session is hosted by Mui Labo in collaboration with BNN, the publisher. And my name is Akiko. I will facilitate this session. And next to me is Sakurako. She will help some translation. So today's session is about designing calm technology with our honored guest, Amber Case. Amber Case is a designer for a number of great projects in the world, and also the author of the book, Calm Technology. The terminology, calm technology, is coined by Mark Weiser in Mark Weiser and also John Seeley Brown in 1989, and published in 2015 by Amber Case. So Mui Labo reached Amber in 2018, and 2 years later, we came the opportunity to publish the first translated version of the book in Japanese in July. And so with this honor, we are holding this talk session. So we hold this talk session because we would like to question the way the technology is and the relationship with the technology. And we want to think together with you all, and think about for the next decade. So your proactive participation for the discussion and the FAQ at the end of the talk session is really welcome. So the absolute question would be, is digital technology bringing us closer together or farther apart? So in the 21st century, digital and internet technology have become powerful and changed our life a lot. Technology has improved our lives and helped us connect with each other around the world. The COVID-19 situation accelerated this trend of digitalization. However, we wonder, is digital technology actually bringing us closer together or farther apart? How can we shape our relationship with each other and take control of it rather than being controlled by digital technology? So today's agenda, first we would like to have Amber to talk about what calm technology is, and including its concept, design principle, history, and shifting 5 years in the last 5 years. And then Mui Labo will showcase our own product and talk about its design principles. Then we will go into discussion on some key themes, and we'll have some time for FAQ. So now let's give a warm welcome to Amber Case. Hello, Amber.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing okay. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. It's a big honor, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we are very pleased to have you here to talk about the design more calm technology in the time of the release of the book in Japanese. So maybe can you introduce about calm technology? Maybe, yeah, you can talk about how we met.
Yeah. I got an email from you, and I think I was very busy and I couldn't do anything, but you had a Kickstarter, and I thought, oh, this is very unique. Like, I was very excited. And then I ran a calm technology workshop in Seattle, and you showed up. And I was surprised and excited.
Yes.
And then we started talking, and then the next year I came to Kyoto, and then I got to meet everybody. And then at Institute for the Future, I had the team come out to California to co-present about the future of technology and human nature, human technology harmony. And then we started to work on the book, and it was amazing. So we've been able to meet a few times in person and collaborate together already. And now there's a book in Japanese, and it's very beautiful. Let's see. So now I will try to present. Can everyone see this?
あきこさん、ミュートをオフに。
聞こえるかな? Yes. Yes, we can see your presentation.
Great. So in this presentation, I'll talk about the history of Calm technology and explain some of the principles, what has happened in the last 5 years, and then a little bit about Chronos time and Kairos time, different kinds of time. So we have been told that there will be many devices online by 2020, but some of them are difficult. There's this idea in Silicon Valley that we need to add more technology to the world to make things better. We need to design things that are complex. People should have to be experts to use it. So we have smart technology, a smart watch, we have a smart fridge, and we have maybe this dystopian kitchen of the future in which everything messages you. The question is, where is there time to be human? Where is there time to live a life if you are experiencing technology? And none of these devices last very long. Like a tree will last for 100 years or 500 years, but a new special device from Silicon Valley might not last very long. So I was surrounded by people who thought this was the way. It was very hard for me to say, what if this wasn't the way? To go against the norm and to go against the wave of technology and say, how do we balance it with people? I saw this new product called PetNet that would automatically feed a pet. Sometimes the power would go out or the server remotely would go down and the pets would be stranded without food. The device wasn't built to have a backup. When the server went down, there was no backup plan. And there were a lot of news articles about these animals that were stranded. And I looked at the terms of service, and it was that it's not held responsible. The company is not held responsible. The idea was that you were supposed to trust technology, but it didn't work. So I started to think about the different types of time. Greeks have the concept of Chronos time, which is the idea of a meeting from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You have very specific mechanical tasks that you do in Chronos time. But Kairos time is special time. It's human time, the time of looking at a sunset or falling in love, or the time when you are dying that you remember in your life, reading a book, special moments. And when technology gets in the way and it interrupts us, interrupts our human time, we're not in harmony with it, and we have less and less Kairos time. So I thought that a lot of Silicon Valley was experiencing Chronos time. And then that was why people were so sad. People were very upset. They were missing something. They didn't know what they were missing, and it's this human time. So I started to think about this era of interruptive technology and that we needed the opposite. And during my thesis, I found out that some people in Silicon Valley had come up with this term of calm technology. Mark Weiser and John Seeley Brown had, at a research institute, created a future in which there were so much technology, it was very cheap. They realized that the scarce resource is not technology anymore. The scarce resource is attention. How we made technology that worked with our attention would make or break that technology in the future. They published research papers like The Coming Age of Calm Technology in 1996, and this predates so many of the Internet of Things. They are beautifully written. They're classic papers. We think about technology moving so fast, but I think about technology as a series of, there are human universals. There should also be technology universals, things that don't change for 5,000 years. One of the quotes that's very good from Mark Weiser, he says, "A good tool is invisible. By invisible, we mean that you focus on the task, not the tool. When you read a book, you get dissolved into the book. When you turn on a light switch, you just focus on just getting light on in the room. You don't focus on the tool. The tool disappears, but you're still in control over it." This is a very nuanced idea, because in the United States, people would say, the technology does everything for you. And what Mark Weiser said is, no, you still work with the technology. It works alongside you, but you don't focus all of your attention on the technology. And this is really important. I published this book in 2015 because even though I learned about calm technology in 2007, 2006, no one had published a book on it. It seemed to have been forgotten because it was published before we had an issue with attention. So I published it, and then some things happened. There was an awareness. Now there are noisy washing machines and drying machines, and people can turn them off. Microsoft contacted me, and I worked with them to develop some new principles of design influenced by calm technology. MUI, the company, started Designed to be Calm in human nature, human technology harmony. The humane technology effort began, which I advised on, and then design alternatives to Silicon Valley ideas started to happen. So it's very slow, but I would like this to be something that never changes, that you could read this book in 70 years and it would still be just very approachable, I'm hoping. So let's talk about the principles of calm technology. The first principle is that technology shouldn't require all of our attention, just some of it, and only when necessary. When you use a light switch, you don't notice the light switch, you just tap on the wall. You don't need to be an expert at light or electricity. The light switch is there, you only notice it when you need to, and then it dissolves into the peripheral attention. This is a kind of idea where the technology could give you information, but in a calm way. So if the technology shouts at you, it's not very calm. So how to do this? You can have a faucet that changes color when it's too hot. You have a window, and when you look out the window, you can tell the time of year. That's a calm technology. A window is a calm technology. Being able to see nature is a calm technology. And this is all about peripheral attention. It's not about what's in front of you. You have very high resolution information here that you must focus all on, like driving a car. But you still have all this peripheral attention. You can understand, like, the light behind me. You know, I could change the light color, and then you can kind of see, this is using my peripheral attention. I don't have to focus entirely. So when I understand the time of day through the window, it becomes very useful. This is a light bulb attached to the internet that my co-founder and I made. It changes color based on what the weather will be for that day. So in this case, it's yellow, so it's going to be sunny that day later, or it could be red if it's going to be hot. It could be blue if it will rain. but it's a way of using ambient awareness to give you information about your environment. There's no interface for this. I don't have to look at something or click on a button on my phone. I can walk into my kitchen and know something about the future. This is a term called Infosynesthesia, where you're taking one sense and transforming it into another sense so that you could see the weather or you could feel color. This is a heat sink. It's just an LED that changes color based on the temperature of the water. So you can transform the feeling of water into seeing. When we try to make technology that acts like a human, we often make machines that have to repeat them, or we often make people act like machines. They have to say the same thing again and again. And that's very difficult for people. So it's better to amplify what humans are good at and what machines are good at. Machines are good at lots of information, compressing it, and humans are good at curation and choosing. So Google allows you to choose what's right for you, but it's not automatically giving you the results. But behind the scenes, there are bots that are doing the work for you, but at the end you have a choice. And this human technology alongside symbiosis, this is really important. It's not automation, it's collaboration. This is my friend Todd Huffman. He made a machine that scans tissue sample, just automated a very small part of a biological process. And that way, people have free time. This was the original promise of technology, to free our time to do something that a machine's better at than a human and give them more time to do something. I was looking at automation for a project last year with Institute for the Future. The United States automation suits, like this is just helping somebody. This is so much more elegant than the United States technology. There's a harmonious color. It's very simple. It doesn't look like Terminator, and it just helps. So it's just a helping hand, but it's not scary, and this person can stay working longer if he chooses. But this is very harmonious, simple to put on. This is a backpack. It has a battery. Let me play this one if I can. This really made me very excited when I saw this because it's just powered by water. And so you can make pottery like this. This is the ultimate calm technology. It's working alongside humans. It's working alongside nature. And very slowly, these are pounding. So to me, technology is not something that's new. Technology is anything that helps people to do something outside of themselves. And when you harness nature to do it, you still make technology at human scale. I also like this omotenashi idea that, and you know way more about this than I do, but the idea of this translated into everyday life, that here is a person trying to use the train machine and to get a ticket, and here's somebody immediately understanding that he's having trouble and coming out. This is so amazing. There's so much grace in this. That in the United States, we can learn so much from this, about this harmony and this customer service. Very few companies have started to work on this. So this is something I bring to American audiences, that there's so much to learn. This person is so happy, so excited. Technology can communicate, but it doesn't need to speak. And I think there's this idea that this is an art project that you can see. It's a piece of plastic and it's attached to a motor. And when something interesting happens locally on a server, then it will whir around. And so people at Xerox PARC, where Calm technology came from, could just experience that something interesting was happening, and then they would run around the office trying to figure out what it was. It didn't tell you, it just was an indicator. It's a really successful art project. The Roomba, when it's done, it just goes dun 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 dun, or dun dun when it's stuck. It doesn't try to tell you in a human, in a like English or Japanese or German. And so it becomes this kind of universal. There's a kind of universal tone of da 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 or da da. And then if you don't hear it, you can still see with a light. There are so many new pieces of technology that try to speak at you, but there aren't that many cases in which something speaking at you is very helpful. I was so interested when I saw Mui because of the idea of having human nature harmony and human technology harmony, that this would literally disappear and be part of furniture and that you could still get ambient information. I thought that this is a great idea of putting tradition alongside high technology. Then there's this issue that I see a lot, especially in the United States, that there's a big feature film that comes out, like Minority Report, and here's all this exciting, you would never want to use this for 12 hours a day. This would hurt your arms. It would just be awful. But yet we see this in a film and we think, because it looks good, it must work very, very well. In reality, it's just awful. My favorite part here is that here's this person that's trying to meet somebody who's working, and he tries to shake his hand and he loses all of his work. This is just a terrible interface. So there's this idea that technology should work even when it fails. An escalator, when it breaks, turns into stairs. In the subway station in Japan, where the man came out of the station to help, it says, oh, this is failing, but here's a backup. But so many other products, like the PetNet feeder, when they break, they are completely broken. So when we build a piece of technology, it should be able to break in various ways so that it could still last for 50 years. And the question is how to make technology that's robust and resilient. Like a Lego block works with every other Lego block in the past. There are some synthesizer products that are coming out of Sweden that will last for 20 years and always work. Or think about the MIDI protocol for music, that's going to be around forever. Those are successful products. So instead of going short-term, be very long-term. And then the right amount of technology is the minimum to solve the problem, which is so easy to add more things. But we must really consider what is the core, what is the most important thing, and then how do we allow people to have that with ease? I like these pieces of technology because a street light is just there. You can kind of feel the street light, it's punctuation, or the toilet occupied sign on a plane, it's just a pictogram. Anybody can understand any language, any culture. These are more universal, and I think they're good. The problem with a universal piece of technology is that it's no longer exciting. We don't have a conference about it. We don't put it in the newspaper. And we forget that this is what many designers should hope to achieve, is something universal like this. So if a good design allows someone to accomplish their goals in the least amount of moves, and it's very hard to design something like that, then a calm technology can allow people to accomplish the same goals, but with the least amount of mental cost. Because already we have so many things that we're thinking about in our mind that it's extremely stressful just to live. And we need these moments of calm in our lives so that we can remember who we are and what we want to do with our lives. And we can have time for friends and family. And we can be peaceful when we choose. Because our primary task, unless you choose to, shouldn't be computing, but being human. And this is the quote from Mark Weiser, that the scarce resource is no longer technology now. It is now attention. I tried to archive Mark Weiser and John Seeley Brown's work, so I put the original papers on the web in addition to writing a book. I hope this website exists forever. I try to make it a really simple website so that it will just go on, and I want it to be around for as long as the web. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. It was very interesting. Maybe listeners and viewers might have tons of questions, but we will have some FAQ later. So let's hand a mic to Mune. So Mune, can you introduce about MUI?
Okay, so thanks, Ako. So I'm Mune from MUI Lab. So we are design and tech startup based in Kyoto. We are designing and crafting living experience around IoT and smart home space. We design and produce an IoT smart home hub and its user experience, UX, hardware, software, basically everything by our own team in Kyoto and the remote members around in Japan. We're especially interested in how we can make people's life calm in this digital and connected era. So first, I would like to introduce and demo our flagship product, first product, and some of the features. Let me switch the camera. Okay. So it looks like just a plank of wood, a piece of wood, and it is actually made of real wood with some electronics and magic inside. So we intentionally made this looks like just a plain look, so that it disappears into your living room. So it shows information only when you touched it you want to retrieve the information. Or you get some important message from your family member. And the rest of the time, it stays silent and lets you focus on your own life with your family. It has basic functions for you to have comfortable time in living space. Like, very simple features like checking weather forecast or controlling light bulbs. Yeah, well, I will not turn off the lights here right now. And yeah, check the weather forecast. Yeah, we have like 70% rain forecast today. And you can also send and receive message among your family members. So you can draw message like this and send your message. And it arrives to your family members MUI app in their smartphone. So MUI board works as the family communication hub, and it's like a dining table lamp. So it's designed to create a spot in your home where your family member comes together physically and where conversations happens and you make memories with them. And another interesting feature is moment timer. Yeah, here it is. So it's very simple timer, like a kitchen timer, but you can draw a stroke, and the length of the stroke is the timer you set here. So it can show like a visual representation of the time, and even small kids can understand the idea of time. And actually, one of our co-founders, daughter of one of our co-founders, use it as like a toothbrushing timer. And you can also combine with the light dimming feature of the IoT light bulb. And then, when you set like 20 minutes timer, it could be a good before go to bed habit. When you, say read a book before you go to bed, or teach a kid to go to bed. Okay, so these are some of the features of the MUI board. But again, MUI board is just one of our activities. And we are working on creating a new way of calm digital living. And that goes beyond this physical product. Okay, let me switch. So it includes, our activity includes like, for example, architecture projects or collaboration with large enterprises or collaboration with poets. and artists and like placemaking project and so on. So if you have a project ideas to collaborate with us, let us know, and we would like to hear more about it. So next, I would like to share our principle, MUI design principles. So there are some overlaps with common design principles, but there are some slight differences. Okay, oh, this is a slide for the ComTech principles. So next slide. Oops, yeah. So, okay, I think you can skip some of the slides, I think. Yeah, these are our offices. Thank you. So these are still work in progress and it's not perfect. We are updating regularly, but I would like to share what we have now. First, inspire calm moments. We think technology is something that brings calm and happiness to humans. So playing with MUI brings joy and encourages people to have positive attitude. Second, value simplicity over complexity. So being the minimum necessary. So it provides the minimum amount of information necessary and leave the user unbothered. Third, be humble. So being unassertive and unobtrusive. It stands quietly as long as the user doesn't need the information. And it should be a humble helper who is helpful but doesn't get in the way. Fourth, harmonize. Harmonize with the environment in which you are placed. So it should create a beautiful atmosphere in harmony with the surrounding environment. Also, physical environment as well. Fifth, integrate seamlessly. So we want to be be something to blend in with the environment around it. So we want our system to design seamless interfaces with external services like digital services to bring them into MUI system and stand close to the users. And the last one, six, it's a bit unique. So to design natural interactions. It's a design approach that follows the laws of nature. So we admire the beauty of wabi-sabi, which is the beauty of natural imperfectness from time. Like as an example, so we use natural wood in our product. So it may get scratches or maybe it gets dirty, but itself, such decay itself, we can admire as the imperfectness of nature. And we make, you may keep it even when it breaks. Okay, those are 6 principles. Okay, next I would like to show a few examples of the ComTech examples or MUI design examples from Japanese culture. The first is a kind of short paper screen. It's so popular for Japanese people. They act as a filter between the outside world and the inside space of the house and blotting the minute movements of the people. If there's someone is passing by, you can instantly notice. But other than that, it lets you focus on your time or your work. And also you can feel, for example, like the weather, for example, wind by the movement of the leaves, tree leaves, and the sunlight. And if the sudden change of the sunlight or it starts raining, you can get instant kind of notification from it. But it's very subtle. I think this is a very good example that fits all 8 principles of the COM technology. The next example is a Tomeishi stone. It's also called Sekimori stone. And it could be translated like hot stone. So it's a little like fist-sized stone you put onto the ground of like Zen garden or a Japanese garden like that. And then, you know, it is a very small stone. It's not harmful to the landscape of the garden, unlike a very noticeable signboard or blinking LEDs or beeping sound like that. But when, you know, someone is walking along the path and then see this stone, they can instantly learn that, you know, you shouldn't walk into this path. So it uses the context of the people very well, and then, you know, but doesn't harm the, you know, environment, doesn't harm the space around it. And the next, we would like to introduce one collaboration project by ourselves, and then Hirobe will explain the project.
Okay, Hirobe speaking. So please show the video. Third, we presented the kind of concept, the Milan show last year. And the most important thing is the family memories, we think. So this work with the collaboration with Wacom. Wacom makes the digital pen, and with our MUI-Lab technique. And using the MUI-Lab structure, the components inside, but most we simply draw the line, and it is just the old. We have in Japan, we have a traditional custom in the height marking, the children height. So this is for example, our Children's Day or the New Year Day, we measurement the children height every year, and that's the memory in my family. So this is a very special data in that kind of, and just like draw the line and calculate the data. But we think we feel the most important is the growing our children and the family memory. So data is we can useful and changeable. We can feel that from the data, but we think the very the data should be the humanity. That also are kind of the drawing also. They use the natural material and the surface into the touch sensitive smart screens. This is a MUI height marking in wood. Thank you. Back to Mune.
Oh, thank you, Hirobe-san. And so this is like all from MUI-Lab sections. So I think we move to the next discussion session, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Mune-san and Hirobe-san. So let's go into discussion. This is rather a question raised by the attendee, one of the attendees, in the first talk session last week. So this is a question to Amber. So CAM technology is not a new concept, but why has it not become popular or not implemented into products or industry? Can you explain a bit?
Sure. Yeah. I was asking that question, but I think there is this idea that new things are very important and high tech is very important because from films, high tech is shiny and new and exciting. We have, especially in the United States, in California, we have gone from the 60s ideas that humans alongside technology, that technology could empower humans, to that we need to just have technology. So when this concept came out, it was too early and it was also too late. And there are many concepts like this from research institutes that are poorly timed. So in my work, what I try to do is find something that people have forgotten that was not made at the right time, and I try to put it where it needs to be, like reorganizing knowledge. And it's been hard because there's so much money available for new fancy technology, and then we realize that it doesn't work after a few years, and then people get sad, and then they go back, hopefully, to wanting the exact opposite, which will be long-term. But over time, long-term technology always wins out. So I'm very interested in the long term. And people, it was hard when I first started giving these speeches. I started giving the speeches in 2013, 2014. Audiences of developers didn't like it. They wanted to know that we should keep adding technology. But then when I asked them what do they use in their house and what do they love, they talked about all of these old technologies that were designed well. So in a way, I feel like the high tech is somewhat of a trend. And on the long term, it means nothing. It's really about classic design and things that work, and that it is okay to be long term in thinking, even if right now what makes the most money is short term. Nature doesn't work like that. So hopefully we'll see a little more, but it's very hard for me sometimes to speak about this, but people are very excited. And I think Microsoft got it right away because they have so much market share that they were wondering how they could be better. And the only way to go was to become calmer and to take care of more of their customers with human and technology universals. So for bigger companies, this will hopefully become a goal.
Do you have some, guys, Mui, do you have something to say? Or we can just go to the main big question. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is Kaz. Hey, Amber. Yeah. Thank you for your time today, and I'm so excited, having this again since last year. So it's a third time session, since last year, like April, September, and this time. So for that, this year, term, did you find any a progress for the a ComTech, a optimization, or a people's eye has been changed, as a startup CEO, I'm trying to persuade, for instance, the investors for their showing our technology, or persuading how technology will be. And it's always hard because it's still unconscious a issue or unconscious level of problem. But really is after we got huge pandemic of COVID-19, it's the digitalization has been shifting rapidly. So it's been like a Zoom coming up, and Zoom was just part of like an app, but Zoom made like a product lately. So it's like a new digitalization, is, coming to the house or our lifestyle a lot right now. So from that, I see lots of technologies, moving on, but from ComTech point of view, how, did you see the change, in, these years?
Yeah. This year with COVID, it's been very good for Calm technology. In fact, now I have switched over from giving speeches to working with clients around the world. They are very interested in human and technology universals. They're very interested in making new Calm technology products. Within 3 years, there will be some very large companies producing products with Calm tech principles. And then also Zoom. Zoom has made so much money, its stock has gone up. Zoom is a window. Zoom is the Calm technology because when everyone has to do something, they use the thing that's easiest, and Zoom is the easiest to use. So it's fine. But we talk about Zoom a little, but mostly we just use Zoom. And so Zoom is already becoming the invisible technology, like a light switch. So again, it's when you fundraise, is it as easy to use as Zoom? Like when I invest in stocks, I say, what is the stock that I use, or what are the companies I use every day? What gives me a sense of ease, of harmony, that I don't notice that I'm using it? That is a good company. And then a company that keeps trying to reinvent itself. So Zoom has to handle all this traffic. It's very stressful for them. Netflix is kind of okay, but the thing that Zoom does is that we all need to connect, regardless of if we're sick or healthy, or we can connect in person, and it's allowing people to connect. So I immediately saw Zoom as an opportunity because it's so easy, and I've made all of these connections on Zoom because it just gets us to connect with each other. Like I would like to be in Japan right now because I was supposed to be there, but we're still able to connect. And even so, in some ways, Zoom, when I collaborate with people, I can see their screen, I can see their thoughts, I can understand them, meet them more than if they were to dress up and there are these formalities. We can drop the formalities, we can be with each other. So yeah, the coronavirus, I have the shirt, but that doesn't matter, right? So this is it's a wonderful time in a way, because people will throw away technology that doesn't work. So now there's a new standard for user experience that's coming up. Something doesn't necessarily need to be easy to use, but once you're used to using it, it just works. Like a lawnmower or a TV set or a toaster oven or a car. It takes some time to learn. But then it becomes second nature and smooth.
Thank you. So yeah, I found there like a keyword, from your, first session, before our speech. So that I feel like the word of ease is, something like very important for their current technology. And as you mentioned, the Zoom is, like a standard and easy to use. But there, you usually we have worked, or we are tackling the technology which is based upon their like a screen technology. Mu is kind of screen, but like Zoom is dividing the screen a lot. Today, 50 or hundreds, from one screen. So we found some article like Zoom fatigue for taking our attention, because technology is very strong, but the benefit of technology is, as you mentioned, we could connect each other, or the technology makes us easier to connect or close together. So how might we take balance with these technology, like this new technology or new like a behavior of technology? That's I feel that the word of ease is very like a symbolic.
Yeah, I think technology is neutral. Some of it's neutral, some of it is kind of addicting. But I think the idea is to focus on the human. Like, how do you remember yourself? How can you as a human have that same sense of awe that you had when you were a kid? Can you watch the light coming through the trees through your window? Can you look at a sunset? Can you enjoy the company of a small cat? Can you enjoy each bite of a meal? And this is something I like more about Japanese culture, that there's like this idea, and in Spain and many countries, these small moments, these very small moments can be so meaningful. Things can be slow. This is important to me because the United States is about excess. Like, let's have a big moment. Let's have the best, the most ultimate. It's so, and I try to get people to appreciate the small. So if a technology can help you to appreciate a small moment, that's successful, but it gets very into the humanities. And when we think about the best technology innovations, what we have, the graphic user interface, even the printer with a big button, that was all by anthropologists. It was all developed by historians and sometimes poets. It wasn't developed by an engineer. But the mouse, I think the mouse was, there's some examples where someone was dyslexic or they had some way of processing the world that was different, and then they were able to create something. So if we have all engineers try to make a thing, then it's hard. But I mean, the thing about MUI, like the whole perspective of it is almost it's a piece of art, because regardless of whether it functions or not, or whether it lasts for a long time, MUI as a company is a piece of art in that it asks the question, can you put furniture with tech? Can you put tradition with new? Can you make something that at one moment looks like this, but is really something else? And the questions that MUI provides as a company can inspire a whole new process for building. And that's the most important aspect of MUI, as a question, as a critique, as inspiration. And so as long as you keep looking at those edges and creating either an art project or a space or even a residency program or an incubator that tries to do something like from a very Japanese perspective and add something new or mix two things, that's what will really make the next generation. And it is okay if it's not perfect right now. It's okay if it's not fully understandable by everybody, but it is a important notion. And I think that's why MUI has won so many design awards, because you are doing something new. Thank goodness, because there's so many of the same thing, but you're not doing it in, it's not tacky, it's very elegant. So as long as you keep more doing things and staying alive as long as you can, I think it's an important treasure. And the longer you keep going, the more recognition you will get, and more people will understand that they can apply this elsewhere. So yeah, maybe it's an okay answer. I don't know.
No, thank you.
Okay. Mune-san, do you have some comments? Or maybe we can invite the audience to discuss together, including Q&A? What do you think? Or do you have topics that you would like to talk with these members?
I think, you know, we can be very interactive, you know, with the audience. You know, this is a great, you know, great time to, you know, be interactive with Amber.
そうですね。じゃあ、皆さん、一緒にディスカッションしたいと思います。Let's have discussion together. So, when you want to speak up, you can open your video or you just open your audio. Or if you don't want to speak, then you can post some questions or opinions into the chat.
Or also, we have translator in Japan side. So, you know, we can have Japanese question as well. 日本語でのご質問でも翻訳してこちらで聞きますので大丈夫です。
Actually, we have the first question in the chat room. So maybe. So is there any English word for translation of mui? Any answer?
I think it's from, it has quite complex meaning, but Mui Labo is using Mui Shizen as kind of oneness, so in harmony between technology, nature, and human. But it's also not 作為的, not in
intentional.
intention, yeah. なんで結構ブローダービューを持ってるけれども、無意的には、まあ、作為的でないとかね。まあ、英語で聞かれてるんですよね。
そっか、ちょっと。So the meaning of 無意自然 in English would be, it has like mainly two meanings inside the word. One is being natural, being yourself, having, like not dressing up, not adding anything, just being your natural self and being comfortable with it. And I feel that in this word there are too many meanings to describe in one word, but a description of the general meaning would be this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I believe there is no direct translation of the word in English, right? I think so. Maybe Wu Wei. I think I'm not pronouncing correctly, but Wu Wei in Chinese might be more popular in English.
Mm. 日本語で全然ご意見とか質問とかしていただいて結構ですので、その間になんか宗さんとか青木さん、ひろみさん、トピック、なんかこう時間の概念とか、もしくは来ました？
質問してもいいですか？
はい、お願いします。
はい、京都芸術大学の風間と言います。日本の方も多いみたいなので、日本語で質問して、アンバーに分かるように翻訳してもらえればいいと思うんですけど、質問というか、2点。最初のポイントは、宗さんが出してくれた生じ ってすごく分かりやすいと思うんですけど、止め石っていうのは知識がいるし、それが分かるようになんかトレーニング、されてないといけないし、チュートリアルが必要な例だったと思うんですね。そこら辺って、アンバーからどう見えるのかなというのは、カームであるために、ある一定のなんかこうトレーニングのピリオドがないと、いけないものって多いと思うんですね。だそこら辺、トレーニング、チュートリアルの、フェーズっていうのをどういうふうに考えてるのかなっていうところを、伺いたいのが1点。で、もう1点は、結局そういう体験を作ることっていうのはコンサルティングできると思うんですけど、それを作れる人って教育にかかってるかなと思うので、すいません、我伝言い過ぎじゃないんですけど、教育の現場にいると、そういう人間、そういうクリエイターを育てるっていうところをアンバーはどう考えてるのかなというところなので、どちらもちょっとトレーニングとか経験値みたいなところに関わると思うんですけど、そんなところを聞かせてもらえるといいかなと思ってます。よろしくお願いします。
So he has two questions mainly, and his first question was that the shoji example that we gave, he said, was really easy to understand. It's very instinctive. However, the example of tomeishi that we gave is more complex in that it needs like context. It needs knowledge to understand what it has, how it relates, right? So the first question he gave is about the training to understand the calmness and the prospects of the calm technology. And he was wondering about training and how you think of what is your take on the tomeishi? It was a question to Amber Case. This is the fresh question. I think you're still muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. The take on the tomeishi, which?
The rock on the ground with a string coming out of it.
Yeah, and you say that was the example that was easy to understand or the hard to understand?
The harder one to understand, because the shoji example is more instinctive and easier to understand, but the tomeishi example is a bit more contextual in like Japanese culture.
Yeah.
So what is your take on it?
Yeah, so I was in the forest recently and I saw an example of that somebody was using the path and they put a shoe because they didn't want people to enter. So it was neat to see, but I've also been reading this book, the Wabi Sabi book. It's so difficult because this is not something you can say. Like this is there's a nuance, a feeling, a history, many dimensions. Mm-hmm. And I think the best person to talk about these nuances, either the Timothy Merton hyperobject or some Bruce Sterling with the idea of spines. I will put it in the chat. That right now it's very difficult because, and I'm trying very hard with calm technology to get the depth and the nuance. And I'm just starting because what I need to do, this question was from someone who is at an art school, which is why it's such a good question. But I'm doing more understanding of art and art theory so that I can have the words to get into the context and the depth to explain it more. But there's also a risk because in the world, there are many people that want immediate understanding. When they say wabi-sabi, they just paint something so that it looks old. They don't understand the beginning of the thing. So this is my problem in the United States. People say, calm technology, we must make it relaxed. No, there are many, it's all these nuance. So this is a good question. This is something that I will be working on more, to do workshops around getting people in the mindset to design it well. But this is the hardest part because people get it wrong. Maybe this is a shorter answer. People try to rush without understanding the depth and the origin.
Yeah.
And I think we need to train people to get their brain to be able to have more depth. This is possible. Not everybody will want it, but I should work on that for the next year. Thank you for your question.
I don't know if Kazama-san's question was like he was wanting to question if the calm technology should include the instruction. 風間さんなんかその質問のポイントはカームテクノロジーがその解説というか人が結局カームだと思う前にはちゃんとそのターム期間が必要で慣れてからようやくそのカームを味わえるようになるみたいなそういうところですかね。
ミックスで言うとアフォーダンスっていうんですかね。
アフォーダンス。
分かってくればカームテックが享受できる。でもそこまでの森口さんはインストラクションだったのかな。僕はチュートリアルみたいなのがいい言葉なのかなと思ったんですけど、要はあるトレーニング期間みたいなものがないと享受できないものなのか、やっぱりそういうトレーニングみたいなものが必要ないレベルまで持っていかなきゃいけないのかみたいなところが一つ分かれ目で、多分なんかこうフェーズのアプローチは必要なのかなと思ってるので、障子は結果がビジブルなのですごく分かりやすい、結果がタンジブルなのですごく分かりやすい。でも止め石みたいなものっていうのは分かればすごくいい。でも分からないとそれだけのことっていう。そこにチュートリアル的な要素が持ち込めるのかっていうと、持ち込んだ瞬間になんかカームテクノロジーじゃないっていうか、カームじゃないっていうところが、微妙な部分があるのかなっていう、そういうところをどう考えてるのかなと思ったので、答えとしては良かったと思っています。
宗さん。
ハンバーガーに一応伝えた方がいいですか？
簡単に伝えておいてもらえればいいと思います。
そうですね。
ちょうどその話を事前打ち合わせでハンバーガーまさにアフォーダンスとイーズという、話をしておりまして、なんかすごいポイントとしてはよくわかるなと思いました。
はい。
So, go ahead.
Amber, the question, from Kazama-san is very, similar to my question or my, statement of affordance as to CAM technology. I mentioned the furniture, for instance, like a couch or a chair has, more afford to, people's use or easy, more like not so much contextual. And in between, example which Mune mentioned, like the screen, paper screen, shoji screen, and the stone is, it's different, context, and so the point is, I think like, as I mentioned, ease, you also mentioned today is the keyword for cloud technology. And also maybe, I feel that, we could include the, like a human behavior or the, like a pass from, one generation to the other or one person from the other, for, accepting or, afford that, or, allowance of the, things or object is, very, I feel very important.
Yeah, so this is it's a hard topic. I'm very happy to hear the question. Now I want to know Japanese so I can get more involved.
Yeah, can I also comment regarding this Tameishi stone? So, yeah, and thank you, Kazama-san, for that's a great points. And I think, yeah, that Tameishi stone example, you need some knowledge about it. That could be instruction beforehand, but I think like in some cases, even anyone from any culture can understand or guess. And for example, like when you walk into, say, chapels or temples of a totally different culture, you even though you don't know their customs, you try to behave very, I'd say, very, nice and delicate, and then be humble, right? So, like in like Japanese garden, you are very in like such mood, and then pay attention so that you don't destroy the environment. So yeah, then you see the stone, you guess it, the meaning of it. So, but yeah, I think it's a kind of relatively kind of challenging ways of the notification. I agree with that. But also at the same time, technology shouldn't be too kind to human. I'm originally engineer, but if digital technologies can navigate humans' lives automatically, everything, then what humans will do? So it's like just zombie, right? So well, so it's like other tools, like hand tools. So you need some learning curves, but after you acquire the skill how to use it and some experience with it, you now can use it very easily, and also then it becomes transparent, right? So I think I still don't have any kind of simple recipe to reproduce it, but we also need such kind of balance of not making it too easy to understand for digital products as well.
Kazama-san, いかがですか？大丈夫かな？
The second question ですね。
はい。セカンドクエスチョンを、申し訳ないんですけど、端的にもう一度だけお願いできますか？すみません。
ちょっと時間もあれなんでしょうね。ちょっと英語で。So the second question is, simply said, education. So talking about COM technology or consulting the people to understand COM technology, that's okay. That's important. But the people who can create the COM tech or COM experience is kind of a fundamental importance, I think. So what do you think about the education? So to grow such a people. So that's the second. This is second question.
Yeah. I would like there to be more education. I have done some workshops. I would like there to be I talked to the original publisher, O'Reilly, and I said, can we make a workshop book? And they said, nah, we don't want to. So what I would like to do next is to make a workshop book to get people in the mindset of creating new things and calm things. Last year I was at Institute for the Future, and they have a 3-day course where they get you to think 20 years at a time. They get you to think 100 years at a time. They get you to think this way, that way, outside of time, very much like a psychedelic would do, which is where we got a lot of original computing. So it would be nice to make more of a universal workshop that could have art, it could have science, could have culture, could have film. And at the end, your brain, you could be able to switch into this mood. And when you're in the mood, you can make this kind of thing. You can draw a diagram and solve, you can put things together. So that would be nice to have as a new curriculum that could be worldwide. I have given this workshop maybe 8 different countries to user experience, but it needs to be more than user experience. It needs to be technologists, artists, historians that can show up, and anyone from any background should be able to contribute to this kind of technology, that it's this new interdisciplinary. Then it would be great. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I could see your passion.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm not calm.
Perfect introduction to my job in Kyoto University of Arts. So I'm in charge of product design department. So let's have a chat and let's have some kind of workshop, I hope.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Kazu will help us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I
Thank you
agree.
very much.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a question from Tomaki Kuroko-san. So I'm a good fan of you, and I'd like to hear your comments on the recent trend on immersive technologies such as AR and VR. You think this can be calm technology?
Yeah. Yes. VR and AR. I'm working on a project right now where someone is in a hospital and they are experiencing pain, or they're going through chemotherapy, and they can put on a VR headset and have a very simple experience. In a hospital, it's not very nice to look at. There's nothing happening. So in that case, you want to escape reality. So that could help calming down. There are some research papers about how you have less pain if you use VR during procedures. So this is something that there's been a lot of research, but with VR and AR, the risk is that many people overbuild the technology. They don't understand that, like a book, your brain, your creativity, your imagination fills in all of the details. So all you need is in your VR, you could just have, you could have a simple light that fades. And this simple light, you could have a small program that you focus on the light fading, and that will take you away from your pain. But that's hard because a lot of people who make VR and AR, they're video game designers, and we need more artists to collaborate to create these new systems, because artists, they ask questions, they're critical. And if we don't have them involved, then we end up having the same thing again and again, that we make a video game in VR, but it feels just like a two-dimensional game. We don't need to, VR is its own world. So just making a system where there's just a floating dot and an ocean. It's not very much, but it gives you the same feelings. There's this, it's a very important distinction between overt, like telling you a thing, and then giving you the feeling. So if you could, in VR, give someone the feeling of standing at the edge of the ocean. It's so much more valuable than creating a real ocean that has to be perfect. You know you're not in the ocean, but if you can skip the analytical thinking and give somebody a feeling or a sense and use the minimum amount of technology to do that, then that's where VR and AR can do a good job. But right now, people are too literal. It needs to be abstract. So thanks for your question. It's a hard space. Yeah.
Thank you, Amber. Okay, so now, どうやって呼べばいいのかな?
Xinlei-zhang has a question, I believe.
Okay, here. So is it better that I turn on my camera, or it's better just I can just speak?
Whichever you like.
Okay. I'll turn on the video then.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, can you see the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Xinlei, yeah.
Hi, Amber. Thank you for your talk. I'm a human HCI researcher at the university, and I'm very intrigued by the concept of comm technology. So I'll have some questions. So actually, I checked the website, the comm technology website, and I want to learn more about the principles that you listed up there. And I have some questions understanding those principles. So the first is the first is about the principle 3, like the technology should make use of brain free.
Yes.
So what does it really mean by brain free? Like, do you mean the ambient environment actually, or the peripheral vision of people? So
yeah, both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both,
yeah. Well, there's ambient awareness, which you can tell if there's a cat meowing behind your head. Like most of this event, I have had a meowing cat. So that's like, my peripheral attention constantly gets alerted that there is a cat that wants to eat. But when you're driving in a car, you have all of your primary focus on the road, and then you have a peripheral attention, right? You have a foot pedal, you have the rearview mirror, and that's so important to use because a car is very well designed. It's a professional vehicle. It takes a long time to learn. It's very complex. But once you learn it, you make use of all this attention. And then the same thing with a window, it just shows you ambient, So some of the examples in the speech were the water faucet giving you kind of the ambient awareness, but more importantly, that light bulb that changed color based on what the weather would be. So those are two. It's hard because the technology should make use of the peripheries directly from the original paper. The peripheral attention, the peripheral affordance, hot and cold, it's really senses. It should make use of multiple senses, but visual is overused sense. And that's why, so if you could just use anything else and the most minimum amount, like my friend made an audio app, and when somebody joined online, he didn't want a big ping. So what he did is he just had a little sample of the ambient environment, and then he would make the slightest change so it felt like a bubble popping or a whisper. Yeah. So it's using that like Edward Tufte style. You don't want to have like green next to red. You want to have a very slight variation, and that nuance, that slightness is where you get elegance. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so to second on that, I feel like the car example that you gave, it seems to me like it's a result of training, right? It's like you have a lot of like informations while you are driving, right? You have this view like in front of you, you have the side views and all of the handles or so people cannot pay like attention to all of those things all at once. So they are trained like, okay, you just focus on this part, and when you are like, so for example, you are stopping your cars, then you like maybe pay attention to some other things. So yeah, I feel like it's more like a training process, like rather than something that people just, okay, I just designed this thing, you can just use it right at once, like when you use it.
Yeah, like Adobe Photoshop is almost a culture. It's very hard to use, very confusing. and you take some time to train, but then once you've trained, it is a calm technology. It's part of you, right? Like a calculator becomes part of you in calculus class. But that's the hard thing to explain, that sometimes these interfaces are very ugly. Like behind me, there's Ableton that I used to make music. It's a very ugly interface, but then once you get used to it, it's beautiful. It is the most beautiful, elegant, responsive. And the thing about Ableton is that this is audio software that has barely changed for maybe 15 years, because it's exactly the shape that it's, I think there's this other sense, like clarity, when you don't have anything extra. And I think that's that most important principle, that the right amount of tech is the minimum to solve the problem. That how do you do that? How do you keep taking things away until there's nothing left to take away? And you have to be so clear about what it is you're building, right? Is there an actual need? How do you, for sound, you're dealing with a signal. With Adobe Photoshop, you're dealing with an image.
With icons.
Equations. It's all equations. And then how do you give somebody an affordance so that they can visualize what the equation is doing and then change it? You end up with audio, it looks really messy, but once you get it, I remember the moment that somebody taught me Ableton, and I was so clear, and I had this superpower, and I was like enlightened. Wow, I can do a thing. Like learning to read, learning to read any language except maybe Korean. The characters are, that's an invented, beautiful, so easy. But most languages, you take so long to learn the interface.
Right.
And then it's so clear you don't even notice that you're reading. It just, you look at a sign and it's in your face. It's dissolved. This is this nuance that's so hard, because we have this idea, especially in Silicon Valley, things should be immediate, easy. And then, those things break down when you use them every day. But Google is so boring looking, and it looks the same. They really know exactly what you need. You don't need, you just need the small bar in Google, right? So that's the nuance. That's the hard part about explaining this at all.
I feel like a hard part about this problem is that, like, you can only learn that from the results of people using that. Like the example you gave for the musical interface that you are using, it's like once you get used to that, you feel like, okay, it's in my subconscious, and it's not like requiring my attention all the time. But in the process of that, like, people don't really are aware, oh, this is something that is eventually gonna do me a favor or so. So yeah, that's something I feel it's kind of hard to apply, but it's once. But I get it, but it's just like interesting to think about. Okay, actually, I have three questions. That's the first one, and the second is about the fourth principle that you list up. It's like, oh, wait for a second.
Technology should amplify the best of technology and the best of humanity.
Yeah, right. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by the best of technology and the best of humanity. Like, it's very, it's high level concept, but I want to have more like detailed understanding over this.
Yeah, this it's so hard because trying to use words to explain a feeling. As a human, you know immediately when someone has made a machine and it doesn't work. Like, you hear a robotic voice, you see a fake human. It's very obvious, but a computer just doesn't know that. So what your sense is when you're eating delicious food, or when you know if somebody is sarcastic, like when you know the thing that's right for you, like a blanket, or your personal taste, or your memory, or the feeling of sitting on soft grass in the summer. These are human things. And when you get a search result from Google, you know what's good for you. You can choose. But Google used to have a search result that said, I'm feeling lucky, that would choose the search result for you. And it was almost always wrong. So the idea is that a computer is very good at going through so much information and even sorting it for you, but that the human is better suited to curate that. A system of a human plus machine where the human is verifying the accuracy. Right. I should just put this and say cybernetics, because that's where it came from. And then we lost cybernetics because we thought that we could have AI. Artificial intelligence is fake.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's never been real. There's machine learning, there's deep learning, but we don't expect a dog to act like a human. It's a different species. Neither should we expect an artificial intelligence to act like a human. We should say an artificial intelligence is another species, and there's weirdness that happens, which is why I like to ask the blog, I like to look at the blog AI weirdness, of where it just doesn't understand. AI is not embodied. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't have a sense or feelings. And so when we try to make it do things that acts like this, it is always wrong, and it's so bad. But if we try to say it is very good at going through lots and lots of data, and humans are very bad at sensing a pattern, unless they're very special humans that are good at this. But most humans, they don't see outside, they don't see their habits, they don't see above, they don't abstract unless you're old. So if a technology can do that, and then it meets halfway with a human, then you have a superpower. The feedback loop is what's running Amazon and Google and Facebook and Twitter. That feedback loop can sometimes go wrong. And that's what we've seen, is that there's too much automation. So this is what all these movies in the 80s were about, like war games, like a machine is automating a war. No! But because technology's become so invisible, we don't have that narrative anymore. We just have Black Mirror or some TV show that's more of a documentary. So it's hard for me to explain that principle because there's so many stories behind each one. Even if I write them in the book that I did, there's more that needs to get out, which is why I'm reading these books that are like the Wabi Sabi book, where somebody tries to explain very like you get a snap into a moment, but it's still, and it's very emotional when you do. But these nuances behind, I didn't seek out to design a doorknob, but I use one every day, but I don't remember that I did. But the doorknob's an affordance, right? We don't want a door to open for us, but we do in some cases, right? Or we want a sliding door. In fact, doorknobs are not so good, right? But because it's so normal, we don't think outside of what is a better one. Or in history, what did people use before? Most of the answers are in nature and history. They're not in the new. So we just have to respect that humans 5,000 years ago might have been smarter than us because they were closer to nature in some cases. So how do we bring the two together? Now I'm just talking too much. Thanks for your question.
No problem. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I think it might be like helpful to like offer a link at the website that you share under each principles, that what you mean by it, or like offer some cases so people might like understand those principles much easier. So, sorry, last question. I didn't expect to spend this much time. So it's about the principle 6, like the implication of like the technology should still work when it fails. Like by fails, do you mean that it loses power, or just okay? So what do you think would be the ultimate form of technology? It means it's like organic, or I don't know, like can power itself through some mechanism or like that? Is that what you mean by this principle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have solar power, it could have water power, it could have wind power, but your house should still work if the power goes out. How do you make it? Do you have a storage? Do you have, so the question is to think like, it's about resilience. Yeah.
Okay. I see. Okay, I think. Okay, that's all from my part. I think I took too much time.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the great questions. So time flies. so quick. So now it's already over. So we would like to close here. I would like to announce the group, working group. It's called COM Technology and Design on Facebook. And Amber Case is also one of the members. So if you want to discuss about something related to COM technology and design, you can post something, and when Amber has time and want to answer, maybe we can interact. It's on Facebook page of Mui Labo. You can find the group. It's called COM Technology and Design. So now we are showing a different slide, but this is Amber. I will announce the next session in Japanese. 次回のトークセッションのご案内なんですけれども、もうこちらは日本語なので、日本語でご案内します。トークセッション、ボリューム3ですね。藤野正弘さん、瞑想の、認知神経、科学を研究されている方で、第1回目のセッションと、同じ方ですね。で今度は、マインドセット、について、そのマインドセット、テクノロジーがどういうマインドセットのデザインをされると、人々はどういう行動を取るのか、みたいなことを、話していきます。で、今回はもっとインタラクティブ性を1回目より取りたくて、ブレイクアウトセッションだったりとか、もっとディスカッションができるような形態を取りたいと思っていますので、ぜひぜひご参加ください。来週の土曜日の午後2時からですね。PTX の方でチケットを、ご購入、ご購入というか無料なのであれですけどもご予約できますので。ということで、So this is closed. Thank you very much, Amber and members of my lab. Let's talk on the group.
Thank you.
アンケートも、
Thank you,
アンケートのことも言ってくだ
Thank you,
さい。
Amber.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good night.
アンケートのことも。
アンケートですね。
はい
後ほど皆さんにアンケートを送りするので、よろしければぜひご協力ください。ありがとうございました。